So, when a country goes to war, there's always an official story, right? A reason given to the public. But what happens when that justification is flatly contradicted by the nation's own intelligence chiefs, under oath? That's what we're digging into today, the completely conflicting reasons for the 2026 war with Iran and the testimony that blew the lid off a major divide between the White House and its spies. And this, right here, is the question that gets to the absolute heart of it. Picture this. Capitol Hill, the war with Iran is raging, and Senator John Ossoff asks this incredibly direct, yes or no question to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. No wiggle room. And that was her answer. Not a yes, not a no. She sidestepped it. That single exchange just peels back the curtain on this stunning clash between the public case for war and what America's own spy agencies were actually saying. Okay, so this all went down during the annual Worldwide Threats hearing. This was the first time since the war kicked off that the heads of the intelligence community had to publicly answer for it. And you can bet the atmosphere in that room was incredibly tense. And to pour even more gasoline on the fire, this hearing happened just one day after the administration's top counterterrorism official, a guy named Joe Kent, flat out quit his job. And his reason? He said there was no imminent threat from Iran that would justify a war. So you've got this top official walking out in protest over the war's justification. It really makes you wonder, what was the White House's official reason for military action? Let's break down the case they made to everyone. In his State of the Union address, just a few days before the first bombs dropped, President Trump was crystal clear about this. He told the entire world that Iran was actively restarting its nuclear weapons program, a definite red line. So the military mission gets a name, Operation Epic Fury, and it came with 4 main goals, all laid out for the public. But that last one is absolutely key, guaranteeing that Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. That was presented as a core reason for the whole thing. Okay, but this is where it all gets really complicated. This is where the official story just smacks right into what the official intelligence was saying. We heard the president's claim, loud and clear, but what did his own intelligence community actually find? And wow, this just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's like a tale of 2 completely different realities. On one hand, the president says Iran is starting it all over. On the other, the intelligence community's official testimony says Iran has made no efforts to do that. I mean, both of these things simply cannot be true. And this is the kicker. When Senator Ossoff pushed DNI Gabbard asking her if the finding that Iran had made no efforts was the official bottom-line assessment, all that earlier evasiveness, it just vanished. She gave a one-word answer, yes. Under oath, she confirmed it. Her own agency's findings directly contradicted a primary reason for going to war. You know, this kind of conflict between intelligence and policy isn't just some political drama in Washington. It has huge real-world consequences. Let's take a look at the impact of this war just a few weeks in. I mean, just look at the scale of this military operation. Over 7,800 U.S. strikes have been carried out since this thing started. That is a massive air campaign, no matter how you slice it. And of course, that kind of action, it comes with the highest possible price. 13 American service members have already been killed in this conflict, and that's not even counting the hundreds more who've been wounded. The economic stakes here are just astronomical. Get this. 90% of all of Iran's oil exports flow through one single place, Kharg Island. And now that island is being talked about as a potential target for U.S. ground forces, a move that would be a huge escalation. And the ripple effects are going global. The Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical artery for the world's energy supply, has been closed. Our traditional allies in the Gulf, they're furious because they were kept in the dark. Oil and gas prices are spiking everywhere. And you know who's benefiting? America's strategic rivals, who are just watching U.S. prestige take a nosedive. And this might be the biggest tragedy in this whole thing. The real what-if moment. The day before the war started, Oman announced that a major diplomatic deal was on the table. Iran had apparently agreed not to stockpile fissile material, the key stuff you need for a bomb. A peace deal, as the Omani foreign minister put it, was within our reach. And then the war started, and it was all gone. So, after all that, where does this leave the United States? The war was launched on a shaky premise, the consequences are spiraling out of control, and now the U.S. finds itself in what you might call a classic strategic bind. It's what experts call a strategic trap. Here's what that means. President Trump's administration wants to see regime change in Iran, but he also promised the American public he wouldn't get them into any more endless ground wars. The problem is, it's pretty much impossible to get the first thing without breaking your promise on the second. And that leads us to the ultimate painful paradox of this whole situation. This war was sold as the only way to guarantee Iran never gets a nuke. But many experts are now saying that if the Iranian regime survives this, the one lesson they'll learn is that they need a nuclear bomb to guarantee their own survival. So at the end of the day, we're left with this huge fundamental question. You have the intelligence community's facts, and you have the White House's justification for war. They are in complete opposition to each other. It really forces us to ask, when a nation goes to war, who really gets to define what the truth is?